Hello and welcome to Bible FPL, a Champions League edition. I'm recording this off the back of an absolute high of the Eze hat-trick for the Bible FPL team. The team is now top 10k, almost top 5k. It's absolutely flying. Yeah, I'll do more of a review of that for probably a Wednesday kind of midday upload. So tune in for that. But yeah, before I sort of dive into the Champions League stuff, firstly, thanks for all the support on the channel. Thanks sort of for your help towards the continued growth and the support. And yeah, whoever this has been helping, super yeah, grateful for you tuning in, and I do hope these videos provide both fantasy football content as well as some of the Bible stuff that we'll come on to as well in this video too. In terms of match day 4 for the Champions League fantasy team, it wasn't anything incredible to write home about. However, Osimhen continued to cook for us. Another haul from the lad. Just an incredible kind of set of 3 games, really. I didn't get the Liverpool one, but I've got the last two. So buzzing with those returns. Saka with the captaincy, I basically got that return on the first game of the match day. Well, like I think he played on the Tuesday before the Wednesday games, and I thought I'd stick. I won't be greedy. I'll take the Saka points, and I was happy. I was happy enough for that. Like 9 double to 18. You don't argue with that. Gives us a decent score. Keeps us in a sort of decent rank in the world. I'm not quite sure we are. I think there we go. It's not actually too bad at all. 100k basically, which out of 1.5 million players, you take it right, and it gives us a bit of a platform to kick on from. In terms of the short Bible talk, more importantly, so Saka scored a goal for the team. Saka scored that in the 32nd minute. So if you're new to the series, we've put together a team full of players whose names either correlated books of the Bible, or at the very least, every player on the team has professed some kind of faith in Jesus, or at least has professed some kind of openness to God in a way where they wouldn't mind being used as part of the series. And yeah, we do a short talk as part of it. So Saka scored in the 32nd minute. Saka is our Book of Acts representative. Acts, Saka, it's close enough. So the 32nd minute leads us to Acts chapter 3 and verse 2. Now, verse 2 doesn't make sense on its own, so we're going to read a little bit more. But essentially, verse 2 talks about how there was a man who was lame from birth, and he was being carried to the temple gate, called Beautiful. That's an interesting place. Name of a place, where he was put every day to beg for those going into the temple courts. And then basically some of Jesus' disciples, they came and found him, they came and saw him. He was asking for money, and they said, look, we don't have any money on us, but we do have is we have Jesus who can heal you. And now at this point, Jesus has ascended to heaven, and he's basically poured out the Holy Spirit on everyone who believes in him, which can include you and me today if we've put our faith in Jesus. And they basically pray for this man in the power of the Holy Spirit, and they say, Jesus, would you heal him? And it says, taking him by the right hand, he helped him up, and instantly the man's feet and ankles became strong. He jumped to his feet and began to walk, and he went into the temple courts, walking and jumping and praising God. And this is an incredible healing story of many, many healing stories in the Bible, particularly in the New Testament and in the book of Acts, where, yeah, Jesus sends his disciples out to go and spread the good news and go and heal the sick. And some of you might be listening to this thinking, oh, yeah, it's just a load of rubbish. Like, that sounds wonderful in theory, James, but in reality, people aren't healed today, and the Bible is probably like full of fairy tale stories that didn't actually happen. And I kind of want to encourage you that I've seen people healed in this life with my very eyes, not just like one or two, hundreds. I go to this kind of Christian youth camp every year. I lead a youth group as part of my work, and yeah, basically there's thousands of people that attend this event every year, and they have a healing night where basically the person at the front just says to the Lord, look. There's a bunch of people in this room that are going to want healing from various things. Would you heal them? And every single year, hundreds of people get miraculously healed from various things, including a chap who was next to us the other year who was healed, completely wheelchair bound, and he was up the front and he was talking, giving his testimony on his feet. Some of you might be skeptical, thinking, well, was he really disabled? Like, do you have any evidence? Well, yeah, every year a load of people go up the front with medical reports saying the doctors cannot explain how this healing happened. They put it down to basically just like a medical miracle or just an unknown reason. And this happens year after year after year. It happens in my church services sometimes. Like, there are people being healed all the time by the power of Jesus. And I want to encourage you to have an open heart to believing that actually, no, that I'm not making this up, that the Bible here isn't making it up, that there actually is weight behind this, that some of these things do actually happen today. And yeah, it's the power of God and the power of Jesus that can do it. So yeah, I guess I'll leave the short talk there really, but I just want to encourage you. There is a real God that is working today. He's alive today. If you ask him in life, he can help you with things. It's not to say he'll always heal and he'll always help. We have to trust the mysteries of God with some of these things sometimes, and that he does always work for good for those that love him, even when he heals or doesn't heal. And ultimately, one day in heaven, we'll all be fully healed for those that have put our faith in Jesus. But yeah, God can heal today, and that's just evidence of his existence in this life. So yeah, do comment if you have any questions about that. I'd love to help get back to you and help you on your journey of faith. And if you are a Christian, obviously it's encouraging to hear stories of healing, isn't it? Moving forward with the fancy stuff then. Fixtures this week. It's always the place to start, I think, particularly with Champions League fantasy football. You get sort of two transfers every single week, so you've got transfers to play with. And what are the best fixtures to target? Well, I mean, Galatasaray. I think Osimhen's got a slight injury thing that he got coming back from international duty, so maybe see what happens with him. The beauty of this is Galatasaray play at 5:45 on the Tuesday, so you will get to see the team sheets before the deadline. So if I was you, if Osimhen's in that starting 11 and you don't have him ready, he's well worth thinking about. Uni and SG keep getting battered at the moment, and Osimhen keeps on scoring like 2 or 3 goals a game. So yeah, I think he's one to seriously look at. And I think if he's starting, I'd be very tempted to captain him. As it stands, I've got the captaincy armband on a certain Erling Haaland just because the man is just feels most reliable. And with that Osimhen news, like even if he starts, maybe there's a bit of nervousness for me that he gets hooked early to look after him. So we'll see about the info of that and the team lineups before the game before making a final decision. But I think he's one you'd love to look at for your teams. I mean, Napoli home to the is it Karabag? Nice fixture. Um, Players to punt on there. I mean, if De Bruyne is fit, Rasmus Højlund's been in form, hasn't he, lately? There's a few players there that you could look at potentially, but I don't know if I'd want them sort of week in, week out. But if you wanted them as a sort of 1 week punt at least, I think they could be worth looking at. Um, Juve, lovely fixture against Bodo Glimt, who seem to be a team that just score goals but also concede them. So a Juve attacker, I think, could look nice. Dortmund fixture's not too bad with Villarreal. I'm not sure who to target for Athletic Club. Like I said, City v Leverkusen, I think is a very nice one. I think Haaland, if you don't have him ready, is a great captaincy choice, a safe captaincy choice in many ways. You could take a punt on the likes of Phil Foden, who's starting to come into form at the moment, if you wanted to sort of go double up, triple up on City. And maybe get a defender just to cover the defence. Donnarumma's pretty nailed in goal. Um, Diaz is fairly nailed at the back, although he was rested in the last Champions League game. So the defenders are always a little bit, you're not 100% sure. But Donnarumma obviously is a cert at the moment, and he's great at penalty saves, so he's going to get you some penalty saves this season on whatever fancy game you're on. Chelsea Bars is a tricky fixture. Excuse me. So you think a Caicedo who got a full rest of the weekend could well get some ball recovery points and stuff as a guarantee there, but I couldn't give you many other guarantees other than that one, to be honest. And then yeah, you always want some matches on the Wednesday, so you might want to Lookman like me for Frankfurt, although he's not been doing brilliantly lately. This is an interesting game, but I'm not quite sure you go for. I think there's been some sporting players that have been doing well, so you might want to look at some of those against Bruges. Paris owned Spurs, I think it's a nice fixture. Spurs just got battered, didn't they, by Arsenal, so they're not going to be going into that game with much confidence. Liverpool v PSV is an interesting one because Liverpool just lost 3-0 to Forest, but they are at home to PSV. They want to bounce back. And Ekitike got rested at the weekend. Maybe that's an Ekitike kind of game you could target. Arsenal, the Bayern's a tricky one. I think if you don't have Kane, I think you can have a bit of peace that Kane doesn't have to rush in this week because that's going to be one of the trickiest games they play in terms of a defensive team all season. Atletico Inter is one of those games that I feel like it could be quite tight. So I wouldn't be rushing to either of those teams. But finally, Olympiacos, Real Madrid. Mbappe, if you don't have him, is one to definitely look at. Vinicius Junior is another one that you could look at. Maybe some defensive coverage as well. The triple up, if you can get to it for Madrid, looks very nice for that game. And for my team, at the moment, the team looks like this. I think it's fairly well set up. Obviously, with your teams, make sure you've got players playing on the Tuesday filled out in this team, or at least you don't leave any Tuesday players on your bench. Then you can always bring on some Wednesday players for those that maybe haven't done as well in your team. I think the Haaland captaincy is obviously nice for me, unless I get a real big feeling on Osimhen. But I'm kind of like I'm happy with the points Osimhen's got me. let's kind of not be rash about this. Let's captain a player maybe that's more reliable. And then if it goes wrong, the current transfer plans I'm thinking of is because Rashford is an injury doubt. Well, again, we'll wait and see um, how that pans out. So I keep right clicking it. Um, because he's an injury doubt, assuming he gets ruled out, we're going to struggle to find him, aren't we? We want Vinicius Junior basically. Oh, he's a midfielder, isn't he? Sorry, to fund Vinny Junior. He's the key player we want. We will probably buy Mark Guiu, and again, there we go, got the spelling right there. Not because we think he's going to do brilliantly, not because we think he's necessarily going to start, but in terms of the Bible FPL team, Mark Guiu is actually someone that's put his faith in Jesus. He's a Christian. He's a cheap enabler as well for the team, and because he plays on the Tuesday, we could just start him. If he happens to score off the bench or something, happy days, we get to keep him in the squad. If he doesn't, we can sub him out for a Wednesday player. But the beauty of Guiu is he funds who I was just referring to there, Vinicius Junior, to give us a piece of that Real Madrid game. Vinny Junior is someone that's professed faith in Jesus as well. He could be an alternative captaincy option on the Wednesday if Haaland doesn't do so well. And yeah, all of a sudden we then have a team where we've got some Real Madrid coverage. We'll still have one transfer in the bank that I can roll over to next game week to then have three in the bank. I'm aware Gabriel's injured, but it's one of those I'm just like, there's only so many players I can pick on the Bible FPL team, and there aren't really many Christians I've found defensively, unless you guys can find some for me. Maybe like Mosquera or Hincapié that could be back up for Gabriel, but I'm not sure who's going to start out of those two in this game. So I'm like, maybe I'll just accept I'll be one player short this week because I've got, another full, I've got a whole 14 players still to get points from. Let's just hope we can get enough points from the 14 players we have, roll the transfer to the next game week to carry three into it, and the team overall is still looking pretty good. That's what I'm currently thinking. But I'm open to bringing in the likes of like a Gakpo. I think he's going to start home to PSV. That's a nice fixture. Um, there's a few other options and routes I could consider, but right now I also am a manager that loves exact funds, and Mark Gui, or however you say his name, and Vinny Junior leaves us with zero in the bank, which I don't know, always just fills my heart with joy, basically. So I'll leave the video there before it's too long. I do hope you have good Champions League fancy game weeks, and there's a beautiful run now of football between now and Christmas. So I hope you guys enjoy the run of football, yeah, heading into this period. But for now, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Do like and subscribe if you found this helpful, interesting, want to tune in for more, etc. Like I said, do drop a comment, whether that be fantasy related or about the Bible stuff. Would love to get back to you. Follow me on Twitter if you want to, Bible underscore FPL. But I'll pop the handle in the description in case you want to make sure you've got it right. But yeah, for now, thanks for watching. Have a great Champions League game week slash match day, and I look forward to catching you on the next one.